Hey, good morning, Alan J. Prep. Happy Wednesday to you. It is the first day of the third quarter, and it's a remote learning day. I know we told you guys last Friday when you were packing up and taking out of here to take everything with you because we weren't exactly sure when we would see you face to face again. So we had a pretty good snow and ice storm that came through on Sunday, and the roads are still a little bit iffy this morning. But I'm confident that we'll be back in school very soon. But hey, welcome to another great day at Alan J. We'll give you a couple of updates today as far as like how your day will go. Then I also have a leadership lesson for you this morning. So thanks for joining in. So it's about 9:30 in the morning. You should be in your Core 1 Teams meeting. We practiced that a couple of weeks ago before you left, just to be sure you knew how to access that class. And teachers are going to give you some more directions at the end of this morning message. So I'm glad you're up. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you're dialed in to your morning class. It's going to be a great day at Alan J. Hey, a couple of announcements as far as how your day will go. At the end of this message, you're going to stay in this Teams meeting for your Core 1 class, and your teacher will give you some more information about that. But he or she will teach this morning, give you an assignment this morning, be with you for the Core 1 class, and then you're going to check out of that Teams meeting, and we're asking that you go to each of your Encore classes for B-Day. Your Encore teachers have posted a welcome message there for you, some directions for the day. Also, any assignment or activity is posted on your B-Day Encore Canvas course. So be sure you're using the course calendar and going directly into today's date, January the 19th. Please don't just check for new assignments because you'll miss the content. You'll miss the directions. So as you check into your Canvas class today, be sure you're using that course calendar, okay? All right, and what about tomorrow? So we hope to be in school tomorrow. We hope it'll be a face-to-face day, but any day could be remote. So as you go to bed tonight, be sure you're charging your tablet up. We'll certainly know before you go to bed tonight what tomorrow looks like. Athletes out there, we could potentially have a home basketball game tomorrow, so please keep that in mind. Just wait for some afternoon or early evening communication regarding what tomorrow may look like, okay? Hey, on Monday, it was MLK Day, or a day of service, a day where we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for his life and legacy and work. And we spent all last week kind of talking about what we could learn from him. But one of the last things we said on Friday of last week is that he would encourage us to live our life to serve others. So I challenged you to think about like what service opportunities could you get into on Monday? Well, Monday we were all kind of snowed in, but if you did anything as far as an act of service, if you had an opportunity to work at any of the food banks, or if you were shoveling snow, I know we had a couple of teachers on staff that did some walk around downtown Thomasville, and they were handing out like food bags and doing some acts of service. So if you did any of that, I want to know about it. So shoot me a text or an email and send me a picture of you being engaged in some acts of service. I'd love to highlight that. And last but not least, again, once again, just to announce, today is the first day of the third quarter. We are over halfway through the school year. Report cards will come out next Wednesday. We'll hold our scholar recognition assemblies next Wednesday. You got your Scholar Dollar event coming up next Friday. Lots of good things on the horizon. Just want to encourage you to be giving your absolute best each and every day. So we can't afford to take a day off today, right? We got to keep learning and we got to keep growing. So I'm glad that you're in your classes this morning. All right, let's see if we can get to our lesson today. I want to show everybody how the points totaled out for last week. So Sabio House somehow beat Hegemon by about 240 points. So congratulations to Sabio House. Hegemon in second, Nike House in third, Dynamis House in fourth place last week. But it's a new week. So we've got 3 days this week. We've got a full week next week. Hopefully we could be earning high numbers of points. So be sure you're giving your absolute best because teachers will be using live school even in remote classes today. Okay, so this is our theme for the month of January and February. We talked about it all last week, but it's this concept of courage. We want everybody to be a courageous leader, someone who has the determination to do the right thing, even if people around you aren't doing the right thing. And I know everybody sees examples of people not doing the right thing, right? Like we've got scholars, as much as we talk about being leaders and being individuals of great character, we still have scholars who make bad decisions. We got scholars that do things like write on the walls in the bathroom and trash the bus. I mean, it's just horrible stuff, but you don't do that. You have the courage to do the right thing, even when others around you may not be doing that. That's what courage is all about. And we left off on Friday with this quote from Dr. King, probably one of my favorites. It's written on the wall in Leadership Lane. Life's most persistent and urgent question. Persistent means you're going to have to answer this question for yourself as long as you live. And urgent means it needs a response. What are you doing for others? Man, that's a big question. And if you're not doing stuff for others, then he would tell you you're not living your life to the fullest. So think about what you can do for others. Hey, I want to introduce you to this guy. Some of you know him because I've talked about him in years past, but he's one of my favorite authors. Now, he's not a nonfiction guy. He doesn't write fantasy and folklore or anything like that. He writes books that help educators help kids. And so I got to blur it out a little bit. But this is one of my favorite books. It's called Whatever It Takes. And Paul Tuff wrote this book, and it was one that I became very familiar with when I was working to get this school open, because he wrote a book about what it takes to create a school environment where students can be successful no matter what their circumstances are. And so he spent a lot of time in a city called Harlem in New York and followed a gentleman named Jeffrey Canada, who was working to open a school. I don't want to bore you, but anyway, he's one of my favorite authors because he gives us such rich information that helps us as educators impact the lives of young people. And so he also wrote a book called How Children Succeed, and he gave us 7, count them, 7 characteristics that if we can teach these things to young people, the younger the better, they have a greater likelihood of being successful. Now, if someone were to ask me, Dr. Wheat, what is your main goal for scholars at Allen J. Prep? I would answer, my main goal is to set these young people up for success. Because when I bump into you in 15 years, right, and you're 25, 30, whatever you are, I want you to say, hey, man, guess what I've done? And I want you to be able to tell me how you've been successful in life, whatever that looks like for you. So if we can teach these 7 characteristics, Paul Tuff says you have a greater likelihood of being successful. So this morning, I'm just going to introduce one of them to you. It's a term that we've talked about before, but it's one that I want to highlight this morning. It is the term of grit. Grit is a 4-letter word, but it's not a bad word. Grit, as this lady, Angela Duckworth, says, is this characteristic of sticking with your future day in and day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years. Understanding that a long-term approach to being successful is what you're committing to. It is called grit. I like some of these synonyms that come along with it. It's like courage, We've been talking about that. Bravery. Look at that word, pluck. Man, I want to be known as someone who has pluck, mettle, backbone, spirit, guts, spunk. Those are really short but powerful words that describe somebody that has this noun, this thing called grit. So I just want to talk to you a little about what grit looks like. One of my favorite trips is when we have an opportunity to take scholars down to Charlotte, and we do like the NASCAR track. We get in the van, drive around the track at like 90 miles an hour. We get to go to Carowinds. We get to go to the mall down there, Concord Mills, all kinds of fun stuff. But one of the cool stops that we have is at Panther Stadium, Bank of America Stadium. And they take us down underneath the stadium where the ball players dress and where they walk the halls. And there is this huge sign on the wall, and you're looking at it right there, of a gentleman named Sam Mills, who played for the Carolina Panthers for some period of time. He also played for the Saints, but he finished his career with the Panthers. And he has this phrase, keep pounding. And if you ever watch the Panthers, you know that that's like how they start their game. They got this really big drum, and they pound the drum on the sideline. And the catchphrase is keep pounding, keep pounding. Well, that phrase actually came from Sam Mills because he was a gentleman who demonstrated a high level of grit. All right. So I want you to watch this quick little film that talks about the grit that Sam Mills demonstrated.
They told him he was too small for the NFL. But Sam Mills Jr. not only played, he became a star. Along his journey, there were a lot of no's, a lot of can'ts, a lot of doubt. But he never gave up, and because of that, he made 5 Pro Bowl appearances and earned multiple Hall of Fame inductions. Then after being told he had 2 months to live because of cancer, the now Coach Mills confided in his team in a speech that spoke of his struggle and inspired them to overcome. 2 words he lived now live on for us. Keep pounding. His courage became ours. There will always be ups and always be downs, but as long as we never lose our fight, we'll never lose. They told him he was too small, but in the end, he was larger than life.
right, love that video. So just an opportunity there for us to learn a little bit from Sam Mills and understand who he was, not only as a ball player, but as an individual. So he was somebody who demonstrated this concept of grit. You know, he was a small guy in stature. He wasn't huge. People had told him many, many times he was too small to play, he wasn't tough enough to play, but he just kept proving them wrong. So his phrase, keep pounding, is a great demonstration of what grit is. Real quickly, I'm going to hit just some other key points and characteristics. So if you're going to be gritty, you got to have what we consider to be courage. We've talked a good bit about it. It's basically doing the right thing, even though there's easier options, right? So like making sure that you're putting forth your effort to do what's right, even though it might be easier to do otherwise. The second thing is this word that's called conscientiousness. Being conscientious means a desire to do a task well, not just kind of get by, but do the task well to your utmost ability. It's called being conscientious. I like this term. It's called perseverance. We've used this phrase before. It says those with true grit view struggle as a doorway to pleasure. Man, that's wild to think about. When somebody struggles, they see it as an opportunity to grow or get better, or a challenge, or even a pleasure. The fourth one is resilience. Resilience, short and sweet, is being tough. Just because you don't make the grade you wanted on a test, just because you don't win in wiffle ball, just because you don't think something's going your way, being tough and working to overcome that and continuing to be resilient is a characteristic of having grit. And last but not least, I like this term. The term is passion. It says people who have grit and that have passion, they generally accept themselves as imperfect and growing, seeing life as a series of choices and options. Be passionate, guys. Put forth full energy into everything that you do. There's Sam's quote. He said, when I found out I had cancer, there were two things I could do. I could quit, or I could keep pounding. I'm a fighter. I kept pounding. You're fighters too. Keep pounding. So whatever the challenges are that you face currently, or ones that you might encounter, learn from this lesson of Sam Mills. Learn from what Paul Tuff tells us, is that if you can develop this characteristic of grit, you have a greater likelihood of being successful. So I hope you'll take that to heart this morning. The creed is on the screen today. Teachers, you are more than welcome to pause the lesson this morning and to see if one of your scholars wants to turn their mic or camera on and to read Leader's Creed, and then I'll lead us in the pledge today. As always, I encourage you and ask you if you'd like to join. We stand when we pay honor to our pledge, or to our country, to the Pledge of Allegiance. It's a recognition of all those who have worked to create a society that is dedicated to life, liberty, and justice for all. So I invite you to stand this morning. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, guys, I know we are remote today, but you still have an opportunity to demonstrate excellence in everything that you do. So participate at a high level today. I hope you will make sure to visit all of your B-Day Encore classes. If you hit any snags, use Canvas to send messages to your teachers, and I hope to see you back in the building tomorrow morning. So stay tuned for additional information. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care, guys.